So I'm going to go through and discuss the top 10 rookie mistakes made by first-time tropical fish keepers. So the first mistake that rookies tend to make is that they wash their filters with tap water. So every tank is going to have a filter. It could have an internal filter, could have a canister filter, but inside the media of every filter is going to be, or inside the filter is going to be biological media. And this biological media is going to grow bacteria, and this bacteria has to break down the waste from the fish. And if you go and wash it with water from the tap, then the chlorine in the water from the tap is going to kill the good bacteria, and that can kill your fish if you're unlucky. So we recommend that you wash your filter material in water from the fish tank. Then you can throw that water out, and that way you're only exposing the bacteria to water that's already been treated with water ager, and Bob's your uncle. The next rookie mistake that I'm going to suggest people make is not having enough surface agitation on the top of the tank. It's really important that the surface of your aquarium is broken, because if the surface is flat, then you will not get gas exchange, and if you don't have gas exchange, then it's going to affect the redox potential, dissolved oxygen, and so forth. So try and make sure that your filter outlets agitate the top of the surface, and make sure the top of your aquarium is well agitated, and then you will not have that problem, as it is a very common rookie problem. Now the next thing I'm going to suggest is overfeeding. Do not follow the instructions on the food. What I would do is feed a very good quality food, such as Danichi, New Life Spectrum. Go for a good quality food, and then feed the fish what they eat in 30 seconds, 5 times a week. Over time, look at the belly of the fish. If you notice them getting thin, then you need to increase what you're feeding. If you notice them getting fat, you need to decrease what you're feeding. But feeding cheap foods and overfeeding a fish is a major rookie problem. The next thing I would suggest is changing too much water. If you change a lot of water and you have pre-prepared the water, so the temperature and pH and so forth is exactly the same, you don't have a problem. But rookies don't tend to do that. They tend to just drain out half the tank, then they'll just grab the hose, fill it back up again, and they may very well get a temperature dip, and that will cause white spot, which often they will not identify, and that will kill the fish. The next thing I'm going to suggest is KH. A lot of tap waters such as Sydney often have 0 KH or carbonate hardness in the water. And if you have no carbonate hardness in the water, it'll affect your nitrification, it'll affect your plants, and definitely can kill the fish. So we highly recommend checking your KH and making sure that you're adding some water ager, a KH powder, and some aquarium salt to all new water. The next rookie mistake that is very common is people put in fish that eat or attack each other. So it's very important that you don't put aggressive fish in to go and beat the crap out of all your other fish, and it is important that you don't put any fish in that have a mouth large enough to swallow the small fish, or it is very common that the large fish will swallow the small fish if they physically can. The next common mistake is people tend to leave their lights on too long. If you leave your lights on too long, you're going to end up with too much algae, and that may be quite frustrating, particularly if you're a beginner. So if you have plants in your aquarium, try to limit your light to about 8 hours a day. If you do not have your plants in the aquarium, then try to have the light off if you're out or if you're asleep, so try to minimize the light. The next rookie mistake that people make is not fertilizing their plants. So what people will do is go and get plants in their aquarium, and then over time they will find their plants start going yellow. So if that's the case, I'd just recommend a plant fertilizer, and if you added that even every couple of weeks, then the iron, manganese and various things that you will introduce will help to keep your plants nice and lush. The next thing I would say beginners experience is what's called blackbeard. So if you're getting blackbeard algae, you can either use Carbomax, and that will provide organic CO2 or organic carbon that the plants can use as a CO2 source and will help stop the blackbeard. And if your blackbeard really kicks in, there are products such as No More Blackbeard which will also help to treat that. So blackbeard algae is a really common problem for beginners. And the last thing I would say is it's very common for people to put fish into the aquarium that eat all the plants. If you start seeing holes in the leaves or chunks out of the leaves, then it would be highly advisable to ensure that the fish that you have are not eating all your plants. Or it could be quite frustrating that you've gone and bought a nice big bunch of plants and soon enough they're all munched by the fish. So anyway, there's 10 rookie mistakes that are commonly made by beginners. So if you've got anything to add to this, anything you think we've forgotten, then put a little note at the bottom of this video. Enjoy your fish keeping, even if you're a rookie. Rookies rock.